Okay, so we're right here with all, which is I don't remember if you were one of the first, but I remember in the first time I get into Chatfuel community, there was like 10 people in the Facebook group. They just shut down the web version of the community to answer questions.
Yep.
So we've been in the community since almost 6 years. It feels like it was like 2 years from now because the bot and the artificial intelligence is going so fast. So thanks first to allowing me to talk to you. And today we're gonna just explore your wonderful Dialogflow client, which I think has a lot of potential for all people and beginners that don't have any necessarily experience with coding. So thanks for you for being there.
Sure.
And we're going to explore that wonderful Dialogflow client, which I think has a lot of potential. I'm writing an article for the best plugins there out there in the market to help people either with Chatfuel and Dialogflow because people know me for Dialogflow, but I also use Chatfuel as you do. So thanks for being there, all, and
Mhm.
maybe you can introduce yourself, what you're doing, and your experience and what you do right now with Chatfuel and ManyChat and everything.
Sure, sure. Well, basically, I'm originally a mechanical engineer, and I've got about 20 years worth of, or 18, 19 years of experience in programming, just all kinds of platforms, everything from like old Visual Basic. I still have clients that I support that use ASP2, some classic ASP, which is awesome. But I've kind of gone into the PHP, MySQL, and WordPress arena, and then just in the last, I'd say year and a half, of course, the chat bots have blown up, and I really, really have enjoyed the bots because it's definitely taking over like the phone app space, and everybody's using Messenger because it's installed on their phones most of the time, and it's better than downloading an app, and it's definitely the way people talk. So there's we're still in the brand new. It's still a brand new market. I mean, there's so much that can be done with it, and adding in Dialogflow and the PHP backend or JSON APIs and all that with Chatfuel just adds so much more power to a chatbot than just giving somebody a lead magnet or getting their email and sending it to Zapier. So it's kind of I've been wanting to use use Dialogflow for our real estate bots because people don't always answer the way you want them to, and so you don't want to break your bot, you don't want to have a bad experience, and it's all about lead generation. So if you can talk to the people the way they want to talk to the bot, then you're definitely going to have a lot better user experience and less friction in order to get that lead. So that's kind of why I wanted to use Dialogflow. Um, I've looked at the run kits and all the different setups and all that, and using a Node.js server. And I'm a PHP guy, so I decided I would just go ahead and create one. And I like self-hosting it because I can run it on my own system, process the data if I want to on the back end. I can always expand it if I need to. Whereas, if I had to shoot it off to a third party service, I don't know what's going to go on with it. I don't know if the service is going to go down or, if
Yeah.
it throttle the calls or something like that. So
Well,
that's why I created the client.
in fact, PHP, even Facebook is coded in PHP. PHP is like, if we'd make a reference with the Lord of the Ring, is like the one ring because it's the safest. Well, Python is pretty much it's the closest one to PHP, but
Yeah.
it's the safest language and the most versatile one. And
Yeah.
about that, you saying that it's a new market. Well, I've read a couple months ago that the AI market within the next 2 years will be representing $1.2 billion worth of, for the people which are really early in this race.
Oh,
I
sure. Yeah.
actually refer the AI right now like the gold rush. So everyone, the agencies, everyone that are social media marketer that getting more interested by it. If you do get interested right now, this is the right timing. In fact, I spoke to several people who were too early in this game a year ago, and they started getting out of it. But it's just a matter of timing. I think right now it's the good timing to get into business.
Oh,
But some
yeah.
people were like super early, so right now is a good timing for it. So maybe you can show us. You made a great PDF on how to set up your client, and then maybe we can step on with. I saw that you use Sublime, but for the people out there, if you don't know Sublime, it's just basically it's just like a notepad, an evolved notepad. So you can use Notepad or Notepad++ to access, this file. And within the file, we're going to show you how to set up the client. But first, you can set up, you can check up maybe in 1 minute your PDF. So there's going to be a few steps in order to implement the client. So we can check each of them maybe in a summary, and then we can make the setup. And then after that, when people's going to watch the video, they're going to have questions. We're going to upload that video on YouTube so they can answer on YouTube if they have questions. And in Dialogflow community, we're going to publish this. And it's going to be part of an article which I'm writing, which is going to be called the best chatbot plugins. There's going to be 4 or 5 of these plugins that I hope you guys can use easily and can make your journey through either Chatfuel, ManyChat, or Dialogflow, or both Chatfuel and Dialogflow, and can make you life easier, because I think right now we experience a step in which we're sort of like WordPress when the first plugins begin and that people were interested in getting to make website. So bots are part of the Web 2.0 with the blockchain and the Internet of Things. So now the market is opening up to making plugins so that more people can benefit and go into that business, because up to now it was like purely either developer or digital marketer, but I think that other people will get interest. In fact, we talked to someone yesterday which, like, from the legal from a legal perspective was getting interested into getting into bot business. So we're opening up to other people, and I think it's exciting to see people which up to now was like 95% were either developers or digital marketers, and then we're seeing like other people from other markets getting interested in. So I'm going to let you show this setup and how to use it, and then we can change the screen and maybe cast your screen so that we're going to do, and I can ask a few questions, whatever I think that the average Joe would get lost.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Let me share my screen. Let's see. I'll just share the whole monitor. Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
Let me share the PDF first, and I will show you that. And so basically, what I did with this client, what I wanted to do is I wanted to have it available in the community, and I've released a bunch of plugins for free and everything. But what I wanted to do with this client real quick is actually have it so that it benefited more people if somebody wants to purchase it. So I'm selling it as donationware, and the charity that I want. Are you there, Carl?
Yeah, we're going to need to restart that portion where you first start and say the PDF. So
yeah,
stop the recording, restart it, and just go ahead and hopefully we won't have any more interruptions.
Yeah, sure. So basically, what we're doing with this client is that I'm actually selling it as donationware. So the charity that I wanted to work with is one that I'm kind of close to, because I know several people that are working with it, and it's called the Exodus Road. And what they do is they actually fight human trafficking, and in all these different countries, the U.S. and all around the world, there are people selling and buying women and children and men for all kinds of things like slavery and the sex trades and things like that. And I know people who have actually have gone over to Southeast Asia, and they work undercover with the Thai FBI and different organizations to actually combat this. And they need all the help they can get, and they've saved thousands of people, or hundreds of people. I think it's close to 1,000 people so far, where they go in and they'll find the people, they'll rescue them, they'll perform raids, they'll prosecute the people that are committing these crimes, and so they need help. And so what I decided to do is actually sell the client So if somebody donates basically $35, you get the client, you get you get the documents and everything like that, and you get support if you have questions. So I think it's a good charity to work with. Anyway, this is the documentation. So I've actually prepared for the Dialogflow client an entire 11-page manual. It basically has the beginnings, kind of a quick explanation of the charity, etc. And we also have the list of resources. So, Dialogflow, of course, Chatfuel, and some other things, how to edit the PHP file with some preferred text editors. We also have down here, of course, links to your tutorials, Carl, and the Dialogflow community, and some other tutorials as well, so that people can learn how to use Dialogflow with Chatfuel. And basically what this does is it walks you through, as simple as it can be, very step by step. I mean, there's literally 5 steps to getting this up and running, and you can have it running with your Chatfuel bot in probably under 10 minutes if you go through this. So, and I made it so that it's extremely simple for people. Even if you don't even have any PHP experience, you don't need to know. All you need to know is how to edit one setting. So that's really about it. And actually, I've got the current version of the plugin doesn't even require you to even edit any settings. You can upload and go, and you're up and running. So, and if you know a little bit of Chatfuel, you're ready to go. So that's basically the manual. Like I said, it's 11 pages. I walk you through it. And of course, happy to support it in the Dialogflow group, and then of course by private message as well. So I've had people ask me questions, and I've made some little updates to it. As people have questions, I've updated the software. So that's it in a nutshell. So did you want to go through the quick setup?
Yeah, and just one thing is that I each week, each day, or I get question about coding, and most languages for coding are pretty similar, and a good portion of the coding is, if you know English, then you're gonna know at least like 50% of the coding, because there is some stuff that you're gonna learn from one language to another. But at the end of the day, it's 50% of the job is English, then you're gonna know like 50% of it. So don't be scared to start and do a little coding. Some developer did. I compared that your client to someone who has a WordPress site, no experience in coding, but learned some snippet of code with CSS just to edit like the style or everything. So with this client, I think that if you once built a WordPress site and you add some plugins and you read the material to make this plugin work and write a couple 2 line of codes, you're going to be fine with setting this up. And once it's going to be set up, it's going to open you more. It's going to make the limitation to your bot, because each platform, whether it's Dialogflow, Chatfuel, ManyChat, has its pros and its cons, and none of them is complete. So by using a little bit of plugins, you're going to make your bot experience much more interactive for your clients and much more intuitive for your clients, because Dialogflow is great for natural language processing, which is basically just understanding what a human being is typing in English or any other languages. But Dialogflow is not an app. It's not like an Android. When you're building an app on Android, where you're going to code everything. Well, Dialogflow's job is mainly just to understand what the user is saying, and then we need to relate either with a webhook, a web client on Heroku, but it's not doing everything. So there's a lot of people thinking that Dialogflow is doing everything, but it's not the case. The job of Dialogflow mainly is to interpret what you're saying, and then we need to have something else that take that data and then parse it and return it back to the user. So maybe we can make the quick setup, and show in maybe under 10 minutes how we can say
I think we can definitely do that. We can start the clock or something. And but yeah, let me share the screen again, and
Yep.
we'll start with this. So the first step you want to do is, if you don't have a Dialogflow account, if you have a Gmail account, you can pretty much get a Dialogflow account. That's because Google owns it. So if you sign up, you can basically sign up there with Dialogflow. And since I'm already a user, it just goes right to my console. So when you go to Dialogflow, you can hit sign up or you can hit the sign in. So the first thing, and you can probably break in here whenever, Carl, because you know more Dialogflow than I do. You basically need to create what is called an agent, and that is basically a collection of, well, I guess a collection of intents. But an agent is basically what is going to process the input for a particular bot. So if you have a hotel bot or a gym bot, you would probably have two separate agents because they're going to take two different types of input from users. Basically, an agent is kind of like a niche. So if you're restaurant or hotel or something like that, then you might want to create an agent for each kind of bot. You don't need, now if you have multiple hotel bots, you would probably all use the same agent. Is that pretty good?
Yeah, in fact, that's perfectly how I see it. If you have like three different hotels from the same from the same chain, let's say Marriott, you'd probably use the same agent. The
Mm-hmm.
only difference is if you were from another, let's say for the restaurant business, if you have a restaurant business who do delivery and another one who doesn't do delivery, probably that 95% of your agent is going to be the same. The only difference is going to be for the delivery one. And if your menu is different, then probably the agent is going to be a bit different, but like 90% of it will have the same information in regard to how, you know. But if you have a different type of hotel or a different chain with different services, then 90% of the agent probably going to be the same, but there's going to be a small portion. We can explain that with the restaurant use case because we've seen Android emitters use the restaurant user case because it's really good, it's complex, most people can relate to that. So in Dialogflow, with the restaurant user case, you could have a pizzeria or you could have like an Italian restaurant, which two share pretty much 90% of all the content that an agent would have, like such as they both could have pizza, they both could have like either eating at the restaurant or delivery, but one of the two could not offer delivery. So it would make probably the agent to be pretty similar, but there would be a portion of it which would be different. But we won't cover that for the sake of this video. And if you have other question about, how to set up your Dialogflow agent within a certain type of business, then you can always on the video that we're going to upload on YouTube, you can always ask your question there or come to a Dialogflow community on Facebook or Facebook group and ask your question, and we'll be pleased to answer all of your questions.
Yeah.
So back on track with
Back to
all,
agents.
and
Yeah.
he's going to show us how to set up the Dialogflow client.
And a quick side note on that, Carl, is that you were talking about that, like a restaurant agent, like one may have delivery, one may not, or one may be Italian, one may be pizza. So with the client, what I've done is that I've made it so that you can agents are accessed by keys. So when you create an agent, Google will give you a client key that you use that key, and it knows to use that agent. So in Chatfuel, if I wanted to have a delivery agent or a table booking agent, I could create that, and then I could use that separately. So the client has got it so that I could use multiple keys. So if I want to set up booking for multiple restaurants, I could use that booking, table booking agent, and then I could use another agent for the pizzeria. So for pizza ordering, or I could use an agent for, regular other restaurants. So the client will allow you to actually bounce around in different agents, so that way you don't have to recreate the same agents all the time. So just that's a little more complex, but it's available in the client.
Well, that's a really good user case of how each of these platforms are great. But when you start to use the best of both, then you get a really great bot instead of adding. Chatfuel is really user-friendly. Most people can probably build a bot within an hour just learning how to do stuff with Chatfuel with blocks and everything. Same goes for Dialogflow if you want to have a little fun agent that's going to answer some puzzle or trivia answer and questions and everything. But when you mingle both of them together and you start leveraging the power of both, then you have a really great experience that you can leverage for your users, or if you're an agency, to build bot for real estate, restaurant business, or any type of business that you have client in. If you start to build within these two platforms together, then you're going to get some magics going on.
Yep. All right, so let's jump in, and so we're just basically gonna just dive in, and we're gonna create the agent. Then we're going to basically hook it up in the PHP. We'll upload the file, and then we'll show you how to do like the Chatfuel integration. So what you can do, and when you're in Dialogflow, you'll have a you would want to come down here and basically in your left menu say create a new agent. And so basically what I'll call this test agent. And I'll just pick I'm in Central Time, and then that's it. You just say create, and your agent's created. Now when it says it's working and it's done, takes a second for Google to build your agent. And come on, Google. There we go. So now that it's done, you see that it bounces over to the intents. And so when you create the agent, it actually creates a fallback intent, which is like if the bot doesn't understand what you're saying, it will answer with any one of these random things. So that's perfect for just testing right now. Yep. So now that we've created the agent, we have to get our key that lets us access the agent. So if you come over here again, you select your test agent, and then you hit the gear, and that will open up the settings screen here. So all you need to do to be able to set this up is you'll scroll down, you'll see this client access token. You'll basically click the copy to the keyboard or to the clipboard, and you'll copy that key. And then what you want to do is you want to open up in Sublime Text, you'll open up the Dialogflow PHP file, this is the client that I've written. And you'll see in Sublime Text, it does some pretty good syntax highlighting and stuff like that. All of this is comments and a little bit of documentation. And but basically to get this whole thing up and running, the only thing you need to edit is this line here where it says client access token. And you can see that it says your client access token here. You basically highlight that text and you paste in that key that we just got, and then you save it. And so once it's saved, you're basically done. All you have to do is upload it to your server. So let me switch over back to
just 1 second. Sure. For the people who are not familiar with Sublime, in the section of the YouTube video before the comments, we're gonna put some resources where you can get either Sublime, Note++, or you can use your Notepad. I would not personally use Notepad for the following reason, because if you use Notepad and there's a mistake, you just type something which is not at the correct place, then the whole file could not work. So if you use Sublime, which is free, or Notepad++, which is free too, if you sort of do a mistake and add a dot or something somewhere, it's going to show you that there's a problem at least, and then you can restart with copy and paste or download again the client and just change the key as all showed it. So we're going to have in the resources Sublime, or you can use Note++, and there are a bunch of other client like this in which you can access to the client. You don't need to do anything other than to change the client key, but you will need to have at least Sublime or Note++ or Notepad to open and just copy paste the key that was just shown.
Yep. So yeah, and all those resources are in the documentation as well.
Yep.
So once you have the PHP file edited, you have to upload it to a server. So really, and a lot of people are have asked, and I've seen in Chatfuel groups, asking about hosting and where can I get free hosting and why do I need hosting, that sort of thing. If you're gonna be building bots, you need to have you should have a website, so you should have hosting. And you can get, you can get hosting for $9. I've seen a couple of people that are a couple of services that actually have free hosting. I don't know how good they are. They're probably very rare, but for less than $10 a month, you can get HostGator or GoDaddy or any kind of shared hosting. It doesn't have to be your own, virtual server and all that. I have a managed VPS. It's quite a bit more expensive, but I get a lot more flexibility and power to do what I want on my own system. But for really, all you need is you just need shared hosting, and this is basically kind of what it looks like here. Once you go to your cPanel, and that's going to be included in your hosting package. So that's kind of outside the scope of the tutorial, learning how to use cPanel. But really, here's what you do: you go to your file manager in cPanel, and I'm going to go to the public HTML folder. I can click upload, and then I'm going to drag the Dialogflow file over to it, and that's it. It's online. It's done. So I can go back there, and if I go to braintrustinteractive.com, dialogflow.php, you'll see there it is. So that's actually accessing the file, but since there's no input, it's not going to actually output any data. That's it. It's online. You can now actually call Chatfuel with it. And actually what I can show you is you can test it without using Chatfuel. You can type in query string equals hello
world.
Hello, Carl.
Hello, Carl.
And so there you go. And so there you see that it didn't understand that input, and it just responded with say that again. So if we come back over here to the fallback intent, you'll see that, oh gosh, there it is. There's the phrase, say that again. So if I refresh this, it will respond with another random phrasing. I missed that. Can you say it again? So that's it. It's under 10 minutes, Carl. Like less than 5 minutes. It's online. So and if you go back here to training, you can actually see in Dialogflow that I actually posted hello Carl twice from the script. So that's how you get the client online. And so what I would do is to get this into Chatfuel, there's just a couple small steps. So you can use sorry, we keep dropping you, but that's all right. You can use the Dialogflow call in Chatfuel in any place inside the bot where you would have input, not just the default answer. But a lot of times the default answer is basically where Chatfuel goes if it can't understand something. So if I say something that's not in the AI rules, or something weird happens, it will bounce to the default answer. So then you can send that information to Dialogflow. So I've created a very basic test bot in Chatfuel. You can go into the dashboard, say create a bot, and what you would do is that you come over to the default answer. I've cleared it out. There's nothing there right now. So if I actually test this chat bot and I go to the messenger here, you can test it on Chatfuel without having it connected to a page, and it just says this is the Dialogflow test bot. So if I say, hey, what's up? Nothing's going to happen because the default answer is empty. So let's fix that. So what you would do is that I would go over here, I would set up a user input. You don't put any message to the user, you just want to silently get the input. And what I can do is I can save it to a user attribute called query string. That's it. And this is an option. You can add it at typing if you want. I don't like to do it because I like to process things silently and bounce around the different blocks. But we'll just do this for just kind of the quick example. And then the next step is you create a JSON API. That's it. I like to use Post. It's just a little more secure.
Yep.
So you basically paste in the link to your URL to where you uploaded the Dialogflow PHP file. And then what I like to do is I like to pass in the messenger user ID. What the messenger user ID is for everybody that accesses your bot, they have their own unique ID. So Carl may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if I access the bot, then I'm 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so what this does is it helps the
otherwise the same person would connect once or twice or 3 times, and it would identify it as 3 users instead of 1, eh? Correct?
Right. Yeah. This helps maintain your session. So if every time I hit Dialogflow, I say user is accessing Dialogflow with this session, and a session is basically, it's like if it's basically your current experience inside the bot. So if I'm bouncing around in the bot and then I leave, I started my session and then I ended my session. So the messenger user ID will maintain your session, and that's very important for maintaining context and the more complex things that you do with Dialogflow. Yep. So then the only other thing I have to pass is a query string that I just entered in, and then it's done. And then your bot is then connected to Dialogflow. So if I come back to the bot here and I say, hey, how's it going? Then it's going to answer. And you see it's typing, and it says, I missed that. So now your bot just actually connected. What happened is that it didn't understand what I was saying because I don't have any AI rules. And so it went to the default answer, and it took what I typed in as query string, and it sent it to Dialogflow, and then Dialogflow answered. And if I respond or refresh the training, you'll see that it took that request in there, and it didn't know there was nothing matched, and so it used the default fallback and answered with one of those random questions or one of those random texts.
If people you don't see within your training section in Dialogflow, sometimes it may take up to 10 minutes to show there. So if you test it and you don't see the hello or I missed that or anything like this, don't be worried and just go back 10 minutes after that and you're going to see it. Sometimes there's a bit of delay in getting that response back to the training part of Dialogflow.
Yep. So that's as simple as you can get. And then, of course, the whole idea is that with passing information to Dialogflow, I may want to answer something, answer with another prompt or another chunk of text. But I also want to be able to set user attributes in Chatfuel. And I think you cover that in a lot of your tutorials. But let's say I do tell it I want to order a pizza, and Chatfuel could answer basically set the user attributes for order type is equal to pizza, and it could send it back to Chatfuel as a user attribute that I could use. So
can you make an example of that? Because there's a lot of people asking for that. So it'd be nice for them
and there's
a simple one.
Yeah, and so if all I want to do, and let me copy some text here and do it. Here we go, like this, and so the most minimal thing that you want to do in Chatfuel or in Dialogflow to set user attributes is that you would come over here to your intent. I'll just use the fallback intent again because we don't have anything else set up. You can leave text responses if you want to. What will happen with my client is that if you have a text response and you have, well, depending on however many responses, you could have multiple text responses and multiple payloads, it will just combine them all. And so that will output all that to Chatfuel. So
you can delete that just for the example. We're going to have like this one. It's going to be simple.
Yeah. So what I would do is to be able to set a user attribute, I could set a custom payload, and this takes JSON. And we'll put a link in there for the Chatfuel JSON documentation. It's pretty simple stuff. Really, if all you're going to do is set up a user attribute, I've actually got that in the Dialogflow PHP and also in the manual. There's just a quick example. I mean, you're not going to be creating gallery cards and all kinds of interactions, because that Chatfuel can handle that honestly
Yeah,
better than Dialogflow can.
exactly.
So let's say I want to say, oh, I don't know, like order type, or let's see, order item, and we'll call it like order item.
And right, you could copy paste the same line in order to have two attributes so that people know that if you want more than one, you can basically just copy paste the line 3 and put a comma and then do another one, and there's going to be two attributes instead of one, right?
Yeah, and so if I wanted to add more attributes, I could say, I don't know, delivery location. You can create as many attributes as you need to for that particular, basically based on what you want to do with it, you can do that. So we're going to just call this order item like that, or we're basically going to pass back like a what you ordered. So to do that, I need to create an entity. So you come up here, once you create your custom payload, you would save. And then what I need to do is come up here and create an entity. And you can probably explain entities a little better than I can, Carl.
Yeah, an entity is like the best example for entities would be to use again the same restaurant user case. So for a pizza restaurant, for the pizza entities would be the crust. Is it a thin crust, or is it a traditional crust, or a thick crust? The type of cheese, mozzarella, cheddar, Monterey Jack, type of sauce, tomato sauce, or Alfredo, or barbecue sauce. So in fact, entity is the backbone of your agent. So I always start building the entities before the intent, because there's one thing that you need to remember. Once you created and when you use the entities in your intent, if you try to change it, it might be a bit tricky. So always start by doing the entities first and then building up the intents.
Mm-hmm.
So for this one, I was going to do a simple order items, which is going to be used in the intent, but you can do many more. And I'm going to do a tutorial on all the type of entities that you can do. But for just the sake of this example, we're going to make a pretty simple one.
So we're just going to, quick example. So I'll call it order item, and let's say we're doing a pizzeria. So I'll say pizza, and then I need to enter a synonym, which is pizza. Or I could say, like some people call it a pie, like in New York, they want to order a pie. So I call it a pie. Hopefully we're not, the pizza shop doesn't sell pies. But so I can say pizza pie. I could enter in like pizza pie. And so if I typed in, I want to order a pie, it would know that I'm talking about a pizza. Or if I say I want to order a pizza pie. So that's basically different ways that you can say pizza is what that is. So I save that entity. And if I go to my intent, let's say I'm going to go back here and edit this a little bit, because once I set this, I want to redirect to a block as well. So I could tell people what I ordered. So this is the most simple JSON, setting an attribute and redirecting to a block. And that's kind of what you want to do when you're dealing with chat flows. You just basically want to set attributes and go to a block, and then let the block handle the input and the content. So I'll go back to Chatfuel here real quick, and I'll create this block, and I'll create a group, and I will create a block, and I'll call it what you ordered, and I'll say first name, looks like you ordered and I'll call it order item as the attribute. And so when it bounces to this block, it will actually give me the value that's in here. So this is how we're tying Dialogflow to the Chatfuel. So if I come to the entity or the intent here, what I want to do is I want to actually tag that entity I created to a sentence, like a training sentence, right?
Yep.
So let's see, where do I create the trainings? Is there no training?
It should be above.
Oh, this is
it's responses. Just go under action. Yeah, right there. Mm-hmm.
Well,
No. Go up. It's supposed to be above
oh,
content.
this is default fallback.
Yeah, that's right. Just create another intent, and you're gonna be fine.
Okay, so I'll create a new intent. Let me
Copy
copy
paste that,
this, delete that. Sorry about that. So I will save this.
and
And so we'll basically create a new intent. And let me see, create an intent, and I'll call it ordering.
yeah.
And we'll save the intent. And then I want to come down to training phrases and say, I'd like to order a pizza. And if I hit enter, then see it since I already added an entity for order item, and I gave it the example of pizza. Dialogflow already knows that that is pizza.
So for people watching the video, if we made the entity a bit more complex, we could have add to the same intent burgers or pasta, and if the user the first time type I've ordered pizza, the second time a second user is gonna say I want to order burger. Since Dialogflow is pretty smart, it's going to understand that pasta or burger is the same entity than pizza, and he's going to be able to parse back the attribute the same way it's going to be doing right here with this example.
Mm-hmm. So here in the intent, then what I would need to do is I need to add my response back in. I will create a custom payload. I'll paste what I did before. So it will pass in order item and what you ordered. Now, shouldn't it have the $ for a value there, Carl?
Yeah, it should have. It should be in the action and parameters. So just go open that up and just save your intent. And then
there we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So basically, what happens if I type in "I'd like to order a pizza," it knows that this is an order item or an item on my menu,
Yep.
and it will actually save this value to this $ order item. Then I can actually pass that back to Chatfuel. So that's what's happening is I type into Chatfuel. Chatfuel sends it to Dialogflow because it doesn't know what I'm talking about. Dialogflow makes sense of it and says, okay, Chatfuel, he ordered a pizza. And then we will see how this works. So we're more or less set up. I don't think we need any more explanation than that, right?
No, that's perfect. The only other thing with that example that we could make is to have a prompt. So if the user would say, I want to order without saying pizza or burger or pasta, then we could have a prompt box that could say, yeah, you want to order, but what do you want to order? Do you want to order pizza, burger, or pasta? And then as soon as the user answers pizza, then it would switch and the Chatfuel would catch on and say, okay, now you want to order pizza. Then Chatfuel will take the relay and finish the intent with the blocks that being redirected from Dialogflow to Chatfuel.
Yeah. And what I did here while Carl was talking is I added a couple more training phrases because not everybody will say, I'd like to order a pizza. So somebody will just say, give me a pizza. And I could type that in, give me a pizza. And so if we add more training phrases to, and this basically is just variations on how people talk. So
exactly.
And so Dialogflow, the more training that you give Dialogflow, the better it will understand and the more matches you'll have. So once I've added these, I'll save. Then I can come back into Chatfuel again, and I can test this and say, I want a pizza. And let's see what happens. Hopefully I did this right. Oh, it went to the fallback.
Just for the training phrases, you know that for Instagram, the ideal number of hashtag is approximately 11 to 15. For the training phrases, we have the same type of correlation. You usually would need to do at least 10 type of variations so that it would always sort of catch on what you're saying. And if you have friends that, well, your friends may ask the question in a way that you would not personally ask. So when you're building that, don't hesitate to ask your friends to say, well, I'm building this, and how would you say that question in your own words? And then you can add it up. It's going to make it more natural for your bot to understand a lot of people speaking differently and asking the stuff differently.
Yeah. I think, well, once we've created the training phrase, don't we need to go into the training and then assign it to an intent?
You could do that, or
Okay.
you could test it in Chatfuel, and then if it's not working, then we would go in the training section, and then it may have a delay. So right now, it's
Yeah,
not.
it looks like it's got a delay.
Yeah, so it's a delay that you would just reassign the intent to the correct one. Here we only have one, so we would just need to do that. But we'll make another videos. I'll make another video just for the training part. So
Okay.
just don't focus on it. And here
All
you
right.
have the priority of the entities, which can be used, but I don't like it that much right now.
Yeah. So one other thing I can do is I could give it more priority over, like, all the intents that you create have a normal priority, so they'll be accessed in the order in which they're set. So if I come in here to my intents, let me save this, and I come over to intents, you'll see it says default fallback, default welcome, and then ordering is so it will hit each one of these in order. So if something doesn't match, it will always go to the fallback intent. I could turn off the fallback, but what I'm doing is I'm actually going into the ordering intent, and I come up here to the priority, and I'm setting it. Let's say I set it to the highest priority, so that allows me that should take priority. It should access that first to see if there's a match, and then go to the fallback. So let's just try it again, I guess. So let me go over here to Messenger and say I want a pizza. Will it work? Looks like you ordered pizza. There we go. So what it did is it passed that data back. So if we look here in Chatfuel, and I have a misspelling here, looks like you ordered a pizza. And
Remember when I said that it leveraged the best part of both Dialogflow and Chatfuel? Well, Dialogflow analytics are not that good, but with parsing that attribute from Dialogflow to Chatfuel, then you can leverage Chatfuel great, power with broadcasts and everything, and you can use that data that you picked from Dialogflow to Chatfuel and do whatever you want. You want to do a broadcast with that information 2 days from now and just say, hey, I've noticed that you're interested in a pizza. Do you want to have like this or that? Or here's a video or something like this. So this is what we mean by leveraging both of best world, in fact, the best stuff about Dialogflow and the best stuff about Chatfuel with what we just showed you is exactly how we can do this.
Yep. So there we go. That's the simplest implementation we have of doing anything with Dialogflow and Chatfuel. But you'll see how basically easy it was to get the client up and running. You've got your own client. As far as let me go in here and do a quick share of the Dialogflow again here and show you kind of some of the more advanced options that we have. So once you're comfortable with that, what you can do with the client is that if you have the client uploaded with one key, then basically that client will access that one agent only. So what you can do in Chatfuel is that you can actually it gives you options to pass in all of these variables or user attributes from Chatfuel. So if I want to use multiple agents with the same client, I could actually go back and create pass the token from Chatfuel. So if I just create, let's say in Chatfuel, I go into the user attributes and I create df token is equal to and I set the value equal to this, then I could pass that from Chatfuel to the client, and it will override this, and it will use whatever agent I tell it to use.
Alternative as an alternative, you could have your Dialogflow.php and have multiple one with you would just need to name them differently and have different access keys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that
so you can use the same client with different access keys. And then you can also pass in context. I think that's a little bit of outside this tutorial, but
Yep.
context is kind of like a good example. Let's say if I don't know, Carl. Good example of context.
I give you one with the restaurant usage would be, you know how human beings are, they always change their mind. So one thing about context is that you could be ordering pizza with, let's say, one French fries. But then just right after that, the human being would go at a restaurant and say, oh, wait, I'm going to change my small fry by a Caesar salad. So what context is that within a conversation, the first intent was ordering, and the second one was modifying your order. So it
Yeah.
would keep the same intent and say, okay, uh, I received order A, and now the user A want to modify order A and say order A.1. So that's simply staying from one intent to another. Look context like a chain. You know, the blockchain, people talk about the blockchain, whereas there's two moving part going from one chain of the block to the other chain of the block. Well, context is exactly like this. This is one intent, this is the second intent, and if there would be a third one, it's a chain of intent within the same user case. For a restaurant would be ordering, then modifying the order, receiving the order, and then having, maybe you could perhaps at the end of this chain of intent say, I had a great service for my order from server name, let's say Lisa, and then you would have a chain of intent. It's allow the bot to remember the conversation.
Yeah, it allows you to maintain state, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can pass context from the bot as well. This event in Dialogflow, if you want to trigger something, trigger an intent without the user actually putting in any input, I could actually call an event. So if I give the order items intent and I say the event is order, I could just pass the event name order. So I don't even have to enter anything. I just click a button and then Dialogflow could create a default order for me. So I don't even have to have user input. We have already covered passing the messenger user ID that allows you to maintain your session when you're passing in context. I also have a thing here, reset context. So if you've got context going, you can in Dialogflow, you can create context with what they call a lifespan. So if I say I'm ordering, I can tell Dialogflow that the next 5 posts have the context of ordering. So here I could actually reset that and say, okay, clear that out. Don't use that context anymore. And so the lifespan, again, that would be how many posts that Dialogflow takes to maintain that, that keep that context. It defaults to 1. If you are having some weird issues with Dialogflow, you can also pass in a debug flag as well. So if I set that to true or 1, then what happens is that anything that comes into the Dialogflow client, anything that gets posted, the Dialogflow and the results all get written to text files so that you can see what's going on. So if, let's say, in your Dialogflow custom payload, you have an error, and so Chatfuel keeps saying JSON error, and you don't know what's going on, you'll be able to download, you can turn on the debug flag, download it, and then you'll be able to see what the error is in your response. So if there's a comma out of place or something like that, you'll be able to check and see that, oh, okay, that kind of lets you know what's going on. The client also supports any language that Dialogflow supports. So I could use this client for English. And then let's say if I have somebody in the bot that speaks Spanish, they could say, the bot could say, habla inglés, habla español. If I click the habla español button, Chatfuel could switch that flag to Spanish and pass the content to Dialogflow, and then Dialogflow could answer in Spanish. So I can swap out languages. So this is a good way to localize your bot. So like for an example, we've got some real estate agents in Southern California. So there's a lot of Hispanics and you know, a lot of bilinguals, a lot of people English and Spanish. So they come into the bot and they start speaking Spanish. The bot may not know what is going on. The agent will take over. The real estate agent will take over from there, and so what, you know, but we could have the bot answer in Spanish as well, or whatever language you like. So you can dynamically change your language input into Dialogflow. We also support, you know, if somebody wants to pass in their location from the Chatfuel location button, it'll also pass in latitude and longitude. So Dialogflow will take that as well. So those are all the more advanced flags and variables that you can send in. The manual has examples for everything, you know, for all of that, and it has a good description of everything it passes in. But most people will not need to use, I'd say, the majority of those flags. They're there because Dialogflow supports it.
That's great. Hey, that's a wonderful tutorial. I think that people is going to be pleased, and I think that they're going to be able to be just fine. But if they have questions, they can always come back to us. We're going to be pleased to answer all your questions. Again, maybe you can remind about your awesome donation that you're doing for the Exodus Road. I'm going to do my donation this week. So if you guys want to use this, I think this is only a small gesture in order to, I'm not doing any money with it. I'm just doing this video and this tutorial with all. I'm pleased to do that. I have the chance to do it. And if you want to use a client, well, just leave a couple dollars for this awesome group, which is called Exodus Road. And if you have any question that either I can answer or Al can answer about the Dialogflow plan, we'll be pleased to answer all of your questions. So thanks for your time and to showing us this client, Al.
Yeah.
And we can we'll be waiting for you guys to bombard us with your question. But I think that if you listen this video, in fact, I think we're going to make it in part 1 and part 2.
Yep.
After a bit of editing, but I think you're going to be fine. And it's been an honor for me to have the time to discuss with you all.
Yeah, man. Yeah, appreciate it. Love talking to you and all that. Yeah, again, if you would like to get the client, basically all you have to do is go to theexodusroad.com, and I'm asking that you donate at least $35. That's not much. If you can donate less, I don't care, as long as you donate. And then you send your receipt. Just forward your receipt to info@braintrustinteractive.com, and then I'll send you the files.
Perfect.
That's it.
So thanks for your time, Al, and for you guys watching the video. Well, there's a certain part like context and everything. Don't worry, we're gonna address that in another video. Otherwise, it would take too much time, too much of our time to explain it in one single video, and too much of my time to make example that you can all understand. So thanks again.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.